Hi again, Panther fans, and welcome to the Panther Insider Podcast driven by Ford. This is Dave Cohen, the radio voice of the Panthers from our studios at Center Park Stadium in Atlanta. On this latest podcast, we're talking Georgia State football with Freddie Brock, the running back, and the cornerback Gavin Pringle. 4 games into the regular season, the Panthers are 2-2, coming off a loss to Georgia Southern following back-to-back wins over Chattanooga and Vanderbilt. Following another off week on the schedule, Georgia State set to host the Monarchs of Old Dominion Saturday afternoon, October 12, here at the stadium. Kickoff scheduled for 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Airtime 3 p.m. on the radio network, including 50,000-watt 88.5 FM WRAS radio in Atlanta. For those planning to come to the game, tickets available online and by calling the Georgia State Athletics ticket office at 404-413-4161. Also, if you've missed any of our previous podcasts, they're all available on the Apple Archives page. You can access that by visiting online at georgiastatesports.com. Right now, we welcome to the Panther radio microphones on the podcast, and that is running back Freddie Brock. And Freddie, your first time joining us on the Panther Insider Podcast. Great to have you with us. And, so far, 2 wins, 2 losses, and yet another off week on the schedule. It's 2 off weeks now in the last 3 weeks, which kind of feels like it's slowed things down a little bit. But great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I totally agree with you on the bye week slowing us down. I really feel like our momentum was high after beating Vanderbilt, and then we just had a whole week off, and I feel like it slowed things down. And I just wish we could have just played them right after the week, but it's fine though. We're gonna go to the next one.
Yeah, I'm sure every team in the country would love to space those off weeks off. In other words, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but, after this Old Dominion game, Georgia State's going to play 4 straight games, I think, in 4 weeks on the road. Be great to drop an off week somewhere, a little bit later, week 9, week 10 of the season.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. We got a game against Old Dominion Saturday, then we got a quick one Thursday night against Marshall, so week's going to be flying by, and we got to be prepared and ready.
Let's recap a little bit. Your thoughts on this team at 2 wins, 2 losses here as we get ready for Game 5.
My thoughts, I feel like, they're definitely a good team. We got to come with a better game plan, and execute everything, start fast, and we can't leave plays out there. We left a lot of plays out there against Georgia Southern, and we can't do that, especially with playing good teams like that. You just can't do that.
Season started off with a bang and a lot of hype going back to the Georgia Tech game, 35-12, the final in that one. And then the Panthers, get Chattanooga and then Vanderbilt here in the stadium. They you guys beat Chattanooga, by a field goal, 24-21, and then a great win over the Vanderbilt Commodores and what turned out to be one of the great finishes in the short history of Georgia State football. Do you feel like at this point that things have kind of settled down with regards to, everybody knowing everybody else with so many new faces on this team?
I think things settled down. Everybody pretty much know everybody on this team. Everybody know their role. We just got to execute, everybody's still trying to figure out, like, what they could do best to going in each game. But, everybody, we're pretty good. It's pretty good, everybody know.
Go back to the Georgia Tech game. We'll just recap briefly. We're only 4 games in. That was a tough loss. And then, you've got 4 straight home games. I mean, this team will not have left Atlanta for the first 5 games of the season, which on the front end is great. And then, of course, as we were talking about, 4 straight road games, that's not so great always as far as, from a travel situation. But Chattanooga turned out to be a really good win. Vanderbilt turned out to be a great win, bouncing back from the loss in the opener.
Yeah, those was pretty great wins. It's definitely going to be interesting us finally going out when we leave Atlanta, because we definitely did have 4 straight home games. But if everybody just keep their mental focus when we go away, I think we should be pretty fine.
When you talk about mental focus, let's go back a little bit further. Coaching change at the very beginning of spring practice, and there's a whole lot of question marks just floating all over the place, because at that point Georgia State has to go into a coaching search, and you're one of the guys who from the running back room, you were the guy pretty much in the running back room. Just take me through those few days during spring practice when that all came down and how you guys held everything together.
Everything came down. Got a new whole coaching staff. Everybody was being evaluated. I just trusted God and stayed with the new coaching staff, and I love them. I just came out to practice every day, ready to work, and everything went out pretty good and had a good fall camp, and kept a certain job. But it definitely was a hard change for everybody because it was so last minute. We was already into spring ball, and as of right now, like this whole offense, we're still all like learning. Like we only ran the plays probably like 3 months, so these are still new, fresh plays, new offense, new defense, so everything coming together, though. We're doing a pretty good job. The coaching staff doing a pretty good job, and everybody is just working and executing.
Freddie Brock joining us on the opening segment of our Panther Insider podcast. Panther fans became aware of the name Freddie Brock prior to the season last year when you transferred in from playing at the University of Maine. You and I have talked off mic on one or two occasions. The playing time that maybe you thought was going to be here wasn't here up until the very, very end of the season when you kind of burst on the scene in fantastic fashion out at the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. What did you learn, and I say learn in quotations, from the adversity of maybe it not being quite what you expected coming from Maine to Georgia State, finishing on an extremely high note as one of the top running backs during bowl week? What did you learn from that experience? Because it was kind of a little bit of a low, but then it finished on an extreme high.
I pretty much learned, like, just be where your feet are. Like, just be where your feet at, never be selfish, just trust God. And I trusted God the whole season. I overcame adversity. Last season was really hard for me, because I know I could be out there making plays, playing. I just came from Maine, and I played a lot and started at Maine and played. And then I just come here, and I just was sitting on the bench. It was hard. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't, but it was hard. I just trusted God, came to practice, really work every day, and it paid off, got my opportunity in the bowl game and took advantage of the moment. So I was just grateful and blessed to even be in that predicament, to even play and show what I can do.
Yeah, you certainly did take advantage of the moment. Coach McGee talks about, moments. If, don't stay in one moment too long. Your 2023 season ended on a fantastic moment out at the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. That was a fun experience from start and ultimately to finish.
Yeah, it definitely was a fun experience. I was just blessed and grateful, man. I really feel like I could have been playing the whole season. We could have had a little rotation, but the coaches, they thought differently, and we just stuck with the plan, and went with it. But I definitely could have helped and executed in the season last year, I feel like.
Talking to Freddie Brock, when we came back from Boise, ultimately I think the running back room was one person, right? That was you. And then, again, fast forward, Coach McGee and his staff comes in, and now you've got Savion Wilkerson, who comes in from Colorado, Michael Dukes, who comes in from South Florida, Jordan Ford, who comes in from Tulsa, C.J. Beasley, who comes in from Coastal Carolina. The room filled up pretty quickly. Talk about that transition from being kind of like the one guy to being in a group of basically 5 plus a couple of freshmen that have come in that are learning from you guys.
Yeah, it was a hell of a transition. Everybody got their own attributes, and everybody, like, we all got good game. And I love we got a powerhouse in that room. Pretty powerful room. Each one of us bring a different thing to the ball game, and I love it. Like, you got to be able to rotate throughout seasons. Like, I feel like you just can't play one running back. Like, it's not realistic. Like, you could burn out anything. Like, having fresh legs and playing out there in the field, rotating each running back, not being selfish, it feels good, Like, it feels really good.
As you guys have learned from one another and become familiar and accustomed to one another, again, with Savion, Michael, Jordan, CJ, real quick, each running back brings a little something different to the field when they come running on. What would you say about the other guys and the way that Georgia State, from a run standpoint, is able to attack the defenses?
I would say all of us definitely, we all could do everything, but like more of the power backs I would say are like Savion and CJ, and I could sometimes be a power back, but like I'm more of a speed back I would say, and then Jordan and Mike they more of speed backs as well, and it just each one of us just got different like I don't know like attributes and things in our game, but that's what I pretty much say. And other teams you won't know, like when you rotating us in, like you just won't know what we're gonna do, like because most of us we all can do both, really. So that's what I say.
The thing that always strikes me about you, even going back to the bowl game, is that you hear announcers, myself included, hey, that guy's got a quick first step. You know, you take the ball from the quarterback in a handoff, and then you've got 2 seconds to look up and see where there's a hole, and you've got a fantastic quick first step to be able to recognize which direction you're going to go. And there's even been some games this year where it looks like you're going left, all of a sudden you've cut back and you're going right.
Yeah, I'm definitely grateful from just naturally having that. I never worked on that, but if I definitely worked more on that, I definitely could bring my ball game to a different level. But yeah, it's just instance, like my first step, like I don't know, it's just all an instant.
And of course, this year you, with a coaching change, brings a new position coach. Talk about, I believe Coach Healy is, coaching the running backs. It's a guy that's been a head coach before, real nice guy. Talk about his influence and what he's brought to the running back room with you guys this year.
He's brought a lot to the running back room, especially with him being a head coach. Like, he just has hella experience of a lot of football. Like, he knows a lot of football. And now he finally could focus on one group instead of being a head coach, so he's just bringing a lot to the table. Like, it's definitely great having Coach Healy as a coach, and I love having and learning from as a football player.
You know, when I talk to when we interview members of the offensive line, you know, it's always struck me the offensive linemen tend to hang out together. The kickers and special teams folks always seem to, you know, they kind of keep to themselves, hang out with themselves. The running backs, tell me about the running back room off the field.
Yeah, we definitely hang out together off the field. We also always meet Coach Healy. We always get together with Coach Healy, his kids, you know. He'd get us dinner. We go, like, golfing, top golfing, hibachi. So, yeah, we pretty much always together off the field as well.
Well, after transferring in from Maine, now being one of the what we'll call the old heads here at Georgia State, you got to take on a little bit, especially going back to what was the remaining of spring practice. You know, being one of the returning guys, we're going to talk to Gavin Pringle in the second segment. He's kind of was in the same boat as you were after transferring in from Bucknell, to where all of a sudden it seemed like 20 minutes ago you were the new guy, and then all of a sudden you're the old head and you're leading the new guys.
Yeah, definitely, because I'm the only running back from last year in the room, like, and I just got here, so now I'm pretty much the old guy here. But yeah, it's definitely a wonderful feeling. I love Atlanta, love Georgia State, and love playing here.
All right, Old Dominion. This becomes every game is big. It's one game a week when you get into game week. Old Dominion becomes big because obviously we want to get a W before heading out on 4 straight road games.
Yeah, this game is pretty big. Another conference game, all conference games the rest of the season. These games are huge, you know, and we got to take advantage of them and just can't let them slip away like we did last game against Georgia Southern. We started off slow on the offense. Can't be having three and outs. We can't have that. It took up a lot of the clock, so we just got to play fast, you know, and get things rolling and execute in the red zone and score. We only got to the red zone one time last week. We executed 100%, but we got to get more to the red zone and score and put up points.
One thing I like to do in these Panther Insider podcasts is introduce our players to Panther fans and Panther Nation. Tell me a little bit about growing up in Rochester, New York, and you know what it was like for you growing up, and you know how football became. It seems like you're, at least athletics-wise, your number one passion.
Yeah, so pretty much growing up in Rochester, you know, I was just a silly, funny kid, fast kid. I always played, and I was playing hide and seek one day, you know, and the game called hide and seek. they couldn't catch me. And my mom was like, "Hey, like you probably should play football." She took me to practice the next day for the Rochester Rams, and that's where my journey began when I was 5 years old. Got there, and it's been on since. That's how I started playing football, by playing hide and seek.
Any other sports that you played growing up, and any other sports that you would really enjoyed and thought about playing at a higher level as you aged?
Yeah, so I was a four-sport athlete in high school. I played basketball, football, lacrosse, and baseball. I was really good at lacrosse. I was really thinking about taking that to the next level. I was just naturally good at it. I don't know how I came good at it. I played lacrosse though since second grade, but that was pretty much I loved lacrosse. And then basketball, I was decent at basketball. We won a championship in basketball, and baseball, I was all right, pitch runner.
Yeah. So you end up taking you at some point in high school you make that decision that the recruiters start coming around, and you end up at Maine, and you were there at Maine for what, 3 seasons? You rushed for 1,145 yards, and for whatever reason you make the decision to transfer to Georgia State, and we've talked about that decision a little bit. Tell Panther fans what you're studying at Georgia State, and when the day comes at whatever level it is that you're no longer playing football, what it is that Freddie Brock wants to do.
So I'm studying business and management. I pretty much don't know what I want to do after football, but we're just gonna trust God and just go with the flow and see what comes to me. And I was originally committed to UMass out of high school. I was supposed to go there, and then I made a decision to decommit from there and go to Maine. And I definitely enjoyed my 3 years at Maine and loved it, but it was definitely just time for a new scenery, and ended up in Atlanta, Georgia. And you want to know what's crazy? I came to Atlanta my sophomore year of high school, and I was here at Georgia State. I had a snap memory on my phone from Snapchat, and what a coincidence, I ended up being here. So definitely love Atlanta and happy to be here.
And now you got a former Black Bear teammate on the roster this year.
Yeah, Dorian Roy. Yeah, I'm happy he's here, man. I'm happy he's experiencing this with me. He was definitely in the same class with me when I got there at Maine, so we both happy to be here.
Lastly, you enjoying the experience of being a student athlete, living in the middle of downtown Atlanta, and being a part of this football program?
Yeah, definitely enjoying and loving the experience. Definitely hell of an experience, one-time experience, and can't regret living here at all.
All right. Well, Freddie, great getting to talk to you here on the opening segment of the Panther Insider podcast. Hopefully, and not hopefully, let's play well against Old Dominion. But really good getting to talk to you and telling the Freddie Brock story to Panther Nation. Appreciate it, and best of luck.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. That's Georgia State's running back Freddie Brock. 276 rushing yards at the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, still a bowl record. Scored 1 touchdown, and right now for Georgia State, 266 net yards rushing. He's second in all-purpose yards, averaging 5.4 yards per carry, and has 2 touchdowns on 49 carries this year. And we appreciate him stopping by here at Center Park Stadium and joining us in the opening segment of the Panther Insider podcast. Coming up on the second segment, again, we're talking Georgia State football. We'll switch over to the defensive side, and we'll talk to Gavin Pringle. And that'll come up after these words from Ford and Center Park Credit Union. Whether you're a recent graduate, a young alumni, or an older alum, stay connected to your alma mater by becoming involved with the Georgia State University Alumni Association. The Alumni Office offers a wide variety of programs and services to keep you in touch, informed, and involved. Associate Vice President Christina Million.
Among our signature programs throughout the year, the Distinguished Alumni Awards, 40 Under 40 Honors, GSU Cares Day of Service, the Young Alumni Summit, as well as our Life Membership Program.
Representing nearly 285,000 alumni across Georgia and across the globe, the Alumni Association is here to serve, engage, and enhance the GSU community. Connect with us online at alumni.gsu.edu or call the Alumni Office at 404-413-2190. We're back on the Panther Insider podcast, driven by Ford. Want to thank Freddie Brock for joining us in the opening segment. So we switch from the offensive side to the defensive side, and we bring in Gavin Pringle. He's been a guest on the podcast before. Great to see you again. And Georgia State football in yet another off week on the schedule. 2 off weeks in the last 3 weeks. Not really ideal.
Yes, first off, thank you for having me. But, second bye week. So just been taking our time really to get our bodies prepared for, the next 8 games or so.
It does give you a little bit of time to get in the training room and make sure everybody's in tip-top shape before you head out for the next 4 that are on the road. But take me through a bye week. Again, new coaching staff. How does this coaching staff, your position coach, how do they approach the off week on the schedule? Because it's only an off week on the schedule. It's not an off week from the practice facility.
Yeah, for sure. So usually we start off the week pretty intense, but the basis of the week is really to focus on us and get ourselves better, like mentally, physically, just get ourselves together. So we start off the week intense with like full pad practices, things of that nature, and we lift a few times a week. And then usually we have like Friday, Saturday off just to relax. And then Sunday we regroup and come back as a team, have like a team meeting, and then we start working on our next opponent.
All right. Well, before we start talking more football, I've got to pause a moment and congratulate you for being named a semifinalist for the 2024 William V. Campbell Trophy, which recognizes exceptional academic and athletic student athletes. Congratulations on that. I know Chandon Sullivan, when he was here, was a semifinalist for that. I think you may be the second or third Georgia State Panther that's been listed for that. But congratulations, that's a fantastic honor. What does it mean to you? And what crossed your mind when you were informed that you were named a semifinalist for that prestigious award?
Thank you. I appreciate it. It means a lot. When I first found out, I was kind of surprised. I didn't really, know much about it at first, but then when I found out, I was surprised. But academics always come first. You can't be an athlete without focusing on your academics, and that's something my mom talked to me a lot about as a kid, just focusing on academics, making sure you're doing the right things. Like, the little things matter. So being in the classroom matters just as much as being on the football field. And I know what I do in the classroom will help me later on in life once I'm done playing football. So it's a big part of it. It's a lot.
And you and I talked about that on your last appearance on the Panther Insider podcast. But just to update Georgia State fans that are tuned in and listening, you graduated in the spring of 2023 from Georgia State with a Bachelor's of Science degree in economics, and you are currently here at Georgia State working on a Master's in Sports Administration. That's gonna look pretty good on a resume when that time comes to have these 2 degrees from Georgia State.
Yeah, it'll definitely mean a lot. It'll definitely help me in my future plans. I've been thinking a lot about being like a athletic director or things like that. Just being involved in the sports. I love sports, so I definitely want to be involved like once I'm done playing football. So I think my 2 degrees will definitely help me later on down the line.
Is that something that from a leadership standpoint, and as we were talking to Freddie went from being the new guy to being one of the old heads in the locker room. You're in almost the exact same situation. After transferring in from Bucknell, you were the new guy, and then it seemed like overnight, granted overnight being 1 season, you're kind of one of the vets on this ring because of the transfer portal and the fact that there's so many new guys here. From that standpoint, do you emphasize to the other guys in that locker room when necessary, not just things athletically, but things academically as well, because you are a walking, talking example?
Yeah, of course. Whenever I, see someone slacking, I don't always call them out in front of everybody, but I may pull them to the side and be like, come on, bro, like, you got to get your work done. Or whenever I go up to study hall, I'm an older guy, so I don't really have study hall, but I may go up there and stop in and just be like, bro, you make sure you're doing your work. Like, little things like that, just making sure people stand on the right track and doing the right things.
Well, if one day you ascend to being an athletic director, you'll remember the conversation that we had about leading and leading your fellow student athletes, not just on the field but in the classroom as well. All right, Gavin, we're 4 games in, and Panthers haven't left Atlanta yet. Just give me a little bit of a synopsis of what you think about this team and the season so far. Panthers currently at 2-2.
I think we got a lot of great talent on both sides of the ball, special teams as well. We got a lot of talent, but what we struggle with now is just putting it all together. All three phases, special teams, offense, and defense, all of us putting like a full game together. So it's just like the little things we got to focus in on, making the right reads, making the right calls, the checks, just all different types of things, both on offense and defense. So I think once we get that down, we still got time. We got a bye week right now to, still get better each and every day. So once we get all the little things down and we figure out, who we are as a team, usually around game 3 or 4, you figure out who you are as a team. So once we really figure that out, I think we'll be fine and we'll finish the rest of the season strong.
Is it true what they say? And I guess it is, because you just kind of made mention of it. The teams, and especially now with so many new faces across college football, really across college athletics because of the portal, along with your normal recruiting cycle, now recruiting involves the portal. You've been a part of that. From weeks 2 to is it from week 1 to week 2? Is it from week 2 to week 3 that you see teams kind of settle in and become comfortable?
Yeah, usually week 2 to week 3. The first week, it's our first time. It's a lot, like you said, we got a lot of new guys. So it's our first time being in a real game situation. So usually that week it's kind of rough. It's tough, especially on defense. You have a lot of missed tackles, some miscommunication. You got the crowd involved as well. So it's kind of tough on the team week 1 to week 2. But usually week 2 to going into week 3, like we kind of got it figured out. We know who we are as a team. You know what to expect from your brother who you playing with. So everybody just got to focus on doing their job and just being the best version of themselves that they can be.
There was a lot of attention first month of the season because it started across town at Georgia Tech. And then the 4-game homestand started. Came back, beat Chattanooga. Came back, great win over Vanderbilt. Tough loss to Georgia Southern. What's kind of the focus on the off week now? Because following this off week, there's not an off week now till the season comes to a close.
Yeah, I think the main focus speaking on the defense, I think the main focus is communication, making sure everyone in the back end is on the same page, and then making sure the linebackers are also on the same page with us. Because whenever the linebackers on the same page, that's going to get to the D-line. So as long as we are all on the same page, I think we'll be fine. That was like our main thing from the last 4 games that we played. So communication is really what we've been focused on all this week.
So take me on the practice field and take Panther fans on the practice field. Communication in quotation marks. How do you improve that from week to week?
So it really starts in the meeting room. So when we get in the meeting room, we got to make sure that everyone in the room, whether you're a walk-on or starting with an all-conference player, whatever it is, everyone has to know what we're doing and why we're doing it. So that starts in the meeting room with the installs and like going over things like that, non-formations and things of that nature. And then when we get on the field, it goes to signals. So whenever we see a signal, whatever, from the sideline, we make sure that we communicate the signal from one side of the field to the other. And then it goes to what the offense is doing. So once we see formations, we got to make our checks and make our reads. And once we make the checks, we got to make sure everyone on the field knows what we're checking to and how that goes. So it all starts in the meeting room, but then it translates to the field, and you get better with repetition. So everybody keep doing it over and over, creating good habits. That's the main thing.
Is this a group that likes watching film, likes being in the meeting room before you head out the door to the practice field?
Yeah, we enjoy it, but it's really just trying to lock in. That's the main thing. We all in here, we got the same goal at the end of the day. That's to win and just be as successful as possible. So we enjoy watching film, but as long as we're on the same page, that's the main thing, making sure everyone on the same page.
4 games in, Gavin has 14 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 interception. That was a tough loss in the most recent game, the Georgia Grown Bowl, as it's now known. You've now played in 2 of them against Georgia Southern.
Yeah, it definitely was a tough loss, I kind of look back. It wasn't a game that we couldn't have won. I don't think it's a game we lost this year that we couldn't have won. Honestly, we just didn't do the little things right, and it kind of showed. We came back in the third quarter, but we struggled defensively in the first quarter. We gave up way too many points. So we just got to buckle down and, get on the same page and get things right.
I'll ask you about a few of the new guys. Right now, this Georgia State team defensively has 3 interceptions. You've got 1. Jyron Gilmore from Tennessee Tech has 1. And Kenyatta Watson, at the time, it was a great interception because it came against Georgia Tech, which is where he transferred from. A couple of guys, again, like Jyron and Kenyatta that have come in and, like you did a year ago, come in and become impact players.
Yeah, for sure. Kenyatta and Jai, they both great guys, good work ethics. And then they also they help me become a better player. I got people pushing me. We all like, who gonna get the most interceptions? Who gonna do what? So it's a great room. I'm a part of a great room. A lot of older guys. So we all just working and competing against other people. We also competing against each other, and it's helping us become better every day.
New position coach comes with a new coaching staff. Talk a little bit about not so much how it changed from what you walked into a year ago, but how it's making you guys better and a little more focused.
Yeah, so we got a new defensive coordinator, but my position coach is still the same. I still got Coach Trell. So me and Coach Trell, we got a great connection. He recruited me here. Him and Coach Peeps last year, they recruited me here. So me and him been locked in for, a year and a half now, almost 2 years. So we got a great connection. And also in the corner room, we added Coach Ford. He's an experienced guy. He went to Georgia, played in the NFL. He did everything. He's been where I'm trying to go. So I learned a lot from those two guys, and they really helped me keep me right on the straight path. And it's been paying off, so I appreciate them a lot.
And Trell's the only one who stayed from the entire coaching staff. You mentioned, from the top down with Coach Sherry, you got a new defensive coordinator. And Trell is a guy who, as you said, recruited you to come to Georgia State. Again, that's a kid who's been through this program. He's been, granted, he went away to build his coaching resume a little bit before Coach Elliott brought him back. But that's a true Georgia State guy right there.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate Coach Trell a lot. It's a lot of things that me and him do and the other DBs that people don't see. So that's whether it's before meetings in the morning. We come in early, we meet early. After practice, we always get extra work. We on the field, we on the bags, whatever we doing, working our press technique, whatever it may be. Even on off days, the first bye week, me and Coach Trell was outside on the field getting work in. Like, we do a lot of behind the scenes work, and I appreciate him for that because he wants me to be the best version of myself, and I want him to be the best version of himself. So what I put on the field is a reflection of him. So we both just trying to help each other be the best versions that we can be.
I mentioned Jiren and Kenyatta. A name or two, any other guys that are new faces on this roster that have come in and become what we call impact players on your side of the ball?
Yeah, definitely impact players. Jai and Kenyatta, they impact the defense a lot. They older guys, and Jai's been stepped up and been a great leader for us. So they really, they got interceptions. It shows that their leadership and them being older guys, it pays off a lot. So they've helped a lot.
Again, you're currently studying sports admin. Tell me a little bit about what you enjoy about the sports admin program as we look at the student athlete, the student side of calling you a student athlete.
Yeah, it's a great master degree for me. I love sports, so everything we doing is sports. I'm taking a sports marketing class right now. We doing like fantasy football, so we had to give like our fantasy football a city, and then we basically like promoting our teams and things like that. So it's fun. I love sports, so that's my main thing. Just being in the classroom, it's not so much focusing on school. I'm learning something that I love. I'm learning the business side of sports, so I like it a lot. I think it'll pay off in the future.
With the way even college athletics has transpired, I remember when we talked to you, I think the last time on this Panther Insider podcast, we were kind of very early in the whole NIL phase of what has come into the world of college athletics. So, you just mentioned the business side of college athletics. You're kind of in it to some point as a student athlete already.
Yeah, we've talked about NIL in some of my classes too, and just how athletes like use their leverage, as college students, and how it pays off and benefits them in the future. But yeah, I'm learning about all of those things, so I like it a lot.
Have you enjoyed being a student athlete in Atlanta, Georgia, making that decision to transfer prior to the season a year ago after playing at Bucknell? I think you'd maybe been here before, but it's still, you're coming into you're leaving one comfortable locker room and you're coming into a brand new locker room. And like I said, now you're kind of one of the old guys in the locker room. But are you enjoying the experience of being at Georgia State and being a student athlete?
Yeah, I love it here. I love all the guys. They've made it easy for me, especially last year. The team was pretty much already set, and I was just an add-on. So when I came in, all I had to do was adapt, and I don't have no problem adapting to, my situations. So I adapted, and I get along with the guys well, and it's been great. It's definitely different from where I was at in Bucknell. It's in Pennsylvania, in the middle of nowhere, in Lewisburg. So it's definitely a lot more to do here. Better food, it's a lot better everything, honestly. So that's definitely been a good thing for me. But with the team last year, I've definitely stepped up a lot, and the guys just embraced me with open arms. So I appreciate them for that. And then even with the new guys we have now, we all gelling well together. We getting along. So it's been good, a good experience.
All right, well, let's well, not me, but let's have a good game against Old Dominion, and because the next 4, as you know, are going to be on the road. We were fortunate on the front end, didn't have to leave Atlanta for the first month and a half, and then the next 4 are away from Atlanta. So, and you've been through the Sun Belt now 1 year. It's a challenge.
Yeah, we definitely ready. We getting our heads on straight, and once again, I thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right, Gavin. Best of luck. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, that is Gavin Pringle, cornerback from the defensive side of the football at Georgia State. And again, the Panthers currently at this taping in an off week. And then Old Dominion will be here on October 12, and then it's the next 4 on the road. You can see the Georgia State football schedule by visiting online at georgiastatesports.com. So that'll do it for another Panther Insider podcast driven by Ford. I want to thank my guests today, Freddie Brock and Gavin Pringle, for joining us. Again, Georgia State Athletic Ticket Office, if you're going to join us for the Old Dominion game, 404-413-4161. We're back talking Georgia State athletics again sometime soon on the next Panther Insider podcast driven by Ford. Dave Cohen saying thanks for listening. We'll see you at Center Park Stadium, the GSU Convocation Center, or Panthersville sometime soon. And as always, go Panthers!